Oh no, what have I done? I've created something evil, something sinister. It's back. The golem, it's back. Ah. Oh my goodness. That that made me feel interesting. But welcome back to another Yu-Gi-Oh video. Going at it again with my Witchcrafters deck. By the way, this is Coffee Bean here. It's not exactly all Witchcrafters per se, but that's like the base of it. I guess it's a Witchcrafters Invoked deck. And from what I've heard recently, Invoked is actually like really good, which I didn't know at the time of being in this battle. I just kind of seen it and I was like, oh cool, you know, like I feel like those cards are pretty decent. Let me go ahead and test them out. So finding out that these cards were actually like kind of looked down, well, kind of sort of looked down upon. I had a mixed sensation of like, oh man, you know, like I wish people didn't really dislike these cards, but then I was also like, whoa, like I found a powerhouse kind of setup on my own, so that's pretty cool. So I'm in this fight and I'm like, okay, you know, this is going pretty well. I've basically countered everything he's done. He hasn't really had a chance to throw any punches at me. And I'm like, okay, you know, like I feel like this deck it's going pretty well. Like he hasn't had any opportunity to attack me, and I've been like steadily wailing on him. And it was just it's just the craziest thing that like I walked into this and I was like, okay, you know, like yeah, it's a good deck, but like there's no way I'm gonna like come out of this completely untouched. So in 2 minutes that was another victory under the belt. But GG's to that opponent, and yeah, on to the next battle. I will say that you should notice the fact that that first one was a recorded fight, and then this one is live. And just as a heads up, this one will be definitely longer than 2 minutes. But yeah, while I've seen, or while I've been hearing more recently about the Invoked archetype being more popular, I haven't heard anything about Witchcrafters. Now, I know the deck is, at least from my experience, it is a bit more straightforward. So if you have an opponent that can, you know, negate abilities and card effects, typically this deck would not be what you want to use. It does lack that raw power per se. So when I use it, I typically try to get out something, monsters and like certain cards, to prevent them from building up to their strong monsters. But depending on what kind of deck I'm going up against, that doesn't always work. Like, what is it? Eldritch? You guys know what I'm talking about. Maybe I'll put the card up on the screen. But his deck, it can be an animal to go against. Mostly because, while my deck does rely on being able to, you know, have my effects go through, I definitely don't have a lot of cards in my hand all the time. And that's how you use these cards' effects, is by having a spell card in your hand. So there are times where like I'll get baited by something and I'll use an effect to negate or destroy a monster, and they instantly bring something else out right after, and I'm like, oh, if I had saved it, you know, for like another phase or so, I wouldn't have died here. So it definitely depends on, like, you know, how long you can kind of wait something out until like the pinnacle moment where you know, like, this is the card they need. If this card is gone, I have the whole fight. This is why it's not recommended to build your deck around like, you know, one or two really heavy cards, or like having a method to get a card out that, you know, requires your whole hand or something to use, without a backup at least. Because as soon as you know, like in this case, as he gets this monster out, I actually don't know if it negates effects. I don't think it does. But yeah, while that card doesn't, it doesn't negate effects, but I can't target that card with monster effects. So even if I use what I typically do to get rid of it, it wouldn't work, because, you know, my deck is built around using those monster effects to get rid of bigger opponents. So in this case, I was like, okay, you know, I gotta do something. I know I don't have Raigeki in this deck, so that's not an option. I don't think I have any heavy hitters. So for me, I was just like, you know, trying to think of anything to kind of bide my time, just to get past another round or two. And honestly, it is like, it can be pretty terrifying, because I'm still a bit newer to Yu-Gi-Oh! So going into these fights, like, I'm always learning something new, regardless of whether I'm going against something I've already fought before or something new. It's always like, okay, maybe I've seen this before, but I haven't seen it used in this way or that way. And that's one of the many beauties of Yu-Gi-Oh! Is that you can run into the same thing. Generally speaking, you can run into the same thing, and it's almost always like fascinating how someone decides to use it, because you're like, I've never seen someone look at its effect this way or combine it with this set of cards. Taking Invoked, for example. People use the Invoked cards. Like, that's pretty normal. But something that I don't see, I don't think I've run into another person who uses the Witchcrafter archetype. So I was like, oh, okay, you know, like, this is kind of different, but, like, this might give me the upper hand, because no one knows what I can do. And if they have seen, you know, what the deck can do, maybe I can, like, you know, slip something under the radar. Yeah, I've still been meaning to go back and, like, edit this deck a bit, because even since the recording of this, I still have yet to, actually, no, I've started making a new deck that, instead of using Invoked, focuses more on the Witchcrafters. But yeah, it's still heavily, like, in the works for myself, as I'm still getting new cards and everything, and understanding what does what, and, like, what I should really aim for to be in each deck. Because I know, at least for Witchcrafters specifically, having a lot of spells is it's what you want. But I think in this deck I had, because I have a mix between the Magistress cards, Alistair the Invoked, and the Witchcrafters. So there are a lot of different possibilities in the deck. But had I actually, like, gone and looked really heavily into, alright, I need 3 of these cards, 2 of these, just 1 of these, no, I hadn't. So at least for this fight in general, there were a lot of cases where I was looking for a certain card to draw to kind of change the tide of things. Because I actually wanted a Magistress monster, and I could not draw one. And I was just like, come on, like, at this point, they're the only ones who get enough attack fast enough for me to take down this monster with 4,000 attack. So I'm just, like, sitting here, you know, like a sitting duck, and I'm just like, alright, you know, if I get a good draw, can't think of what his name is, I'll flash the card up on the screen, but he allows you to attach another card to him, And I was like, alright, if I can get that card and attach this monster to it, I can destroy at least one card on the field. Which actually, now that I think about it, it'd still be a monster effect, so it wouldn't affect them. But yeah, that is one downside to the deck, is just raw attack power. I definitely need to I need to figure out a way to get higher attack faster. Cause yeah, at this point I'm just defending and hoping I draw something good. And like, yeah, I could get plenty of maybe not plenty, but I could get cards out onto the field. Oh, wait a minute. This isn't the invoked deck. I completely forgot about that. I just gave myself the craziest, like, brain fart. That last one that was a recording was after this fight, so I revamped it after this. I was like, something felt off. I forgot that this one had come first. Because I was like, man, I haven't run into like a single one of those other cards that are really useful. No, that makes a lot of sense why I'm thrown off post commentating, because I couldn't remember where the video actually was, like, chronologically. That's a pro move, obviously. But yeah, so I don't have invoked or the Magistress cards mixed in here. This one is more of just the Witchcrafters. I think this one, there's no way that this is like the very first one I started with, because I know I did make a lot of mistakes making that deck, because it was like the first, or no, it's the second deck that I had made. So yeah, there were loads of issues with it. If this is that deck though, I'm kind of impressed that that I've done so much though. Like, that's cool for me. But yeah, I forgot that with link monsters, they're always in attack, so like you can't do anything else with them, and like you can't put them into like defense mode or anything like that. And I thought maybe I could have gotten around this part, because with the card that I tried to use, I believe it brings up both attack and defense by 1,000 for every spell you discard or send to the graveyard. So I was like, oh, okay, you know, if I take this card, use it, then like, yeah, I'll be alive, but I'll have a little more I'll have a few more life points to play around with, and that backfired. And that Ash Blossom just it broke my soul, because I was like, I literally have nothing left that I can do. I can't even like defend. Like, my field is completely empty. I was like, all right, you know, he's gonna skip to the battle phase and finish me off. I'm actually kind of surprised that he did go and place more cards, because there are some card effects in your graveyard where like you can activate them in response to, you know, certain things that your opponent does, like placing down another monster or something like that. And so for me, I was like, oh, if I had something that could, like, you know, your opponent places down a monster, you know, you can place down a monster or something, I wouldn't have lived, but, you know, It might have at least scared him. But yeah, that one was tough. But GG's to that opponent, and yeah, it definitely showed me. Because now that I think about it, I'm like, yeah, that makes sense. It definitely showed me that, like, I went from that fight to, like, okay, I need a powerhouse. And then I revamped the deck. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Yeah, we're gonna go ahead and hop into just one more fight for this video. And yeah, I hope you guys enjoy. I say that like I'm going somewhere. I'm not. But alright, let's get into it. In this battle, still running the same Witchcrafter's deck. Slightly revamped, remodeled, you know. Upped it a little bit. But I was like, alright, let's do this. Went ahead, got my Witch Golem out there. The spell that I used allows me to attack twice with the monster. The reason why I wanted to use it there instead of using that spell to use one of my monster's effects is because at the standby phase for my enemy or my opponent, Witchcrafter Golem comes back to my hand. So it's very important that like I get it out on the field, deal all the damage I need to, before it comes back to me, because I'm like, alright, you know, you get like one shot at this, and then it's, you know, this could be it if all your other monsters on the field die, which happened here, but lucky for me, he didn't, OTK me, because I don't know, like, he's synchro summoning, but like I haven't seen those really OTK all that much. I could be wrong, like I actually know I have with Archfiend, but what he was using, I was like, nah, no way I die in one turn. So I was just like, I'll go for it. I'm fine. I have plenty of spells in my hand. I'm just like, okay, I can swing at him if I really want to, but would it be best to swing now or just to like chill and kind of wait till later to throw out something more devastating? So I decided I'd wait it out a bit, because Witchcrafter Golem also has another effect to where you can special summon it, and when you special summon Witchcrafter Golem, you can send one card, I think it's back to their hand. Yeah. So after that, he was just not having it. That's one that I needed for that fight before this. Anyway, hope you guys enjoyed. I'll see you in the next video. Bye bye.